Some YouTubers spend years building trust with their audience. Hank Green spent nearly 2 decades doing exactly that. Then 4 words put all of it in question.
A better way to say it, and I appreciate the pushback.
Hank started making videos online in 2007. Over the years, he helped build some of the biggest educational channels on YouTube. Crash Course, SciShow, Vlogbrothers. Millions of people watched his videos not just because he was entertaining. They watched because they trusted him. They believed the information in his videos was properly researched and fact-checked. And for a science educator, that trust was everything. Then on July 30th, his channel complexly uploaded a 55-minute episode of Ask Hank Anything featuring TikTok creator Soupy Time. Most of it was completely normal. But one moment from a separately recorded segment spread across the internet almost immediately. He looked into the camera and said,
"And I appreciate the pushback."
And that was enough to make people stop and ask questions. The phrase sounded familiar to anyone who had spent time using AI chatbots like ChatGPT. And because nobody was pushing back on him in that segment, viewers had one question. Was he reading from an AI-written script? The clip spread fast. He responded on X the same day. He went back through his whole process from start to finish. He admitted he had used ChatGPT for research on the script. And watching the video back, he could understand why people got an AI feel from it. He also said that leaning too heavily on AI-generated notes had become a bad habit. He was clear about one thing. The phrase "I appreciate the pushback" was not written by AI. He said it was something he said in the moment, referring to his guest pushing back on him earlier in the episode. But that almost did not matter anymore. He had been using ChatGPT as part of his research process. And for a lot of his viewers, that was the real problem. Because this was not just any YouTuber. For years, he had spoken out against AI.
I think there's like obvious answers about like hallucination and credibility. And I think that there's, sort of like mid-obvious answers to that question about like human connection and human trust and human labor and all of the work that goes into making something super credible step by step with a lot of different inputs from a lot of different people who have a lot of different jobs. So that is all to some extent sort of saying like, well, this is the current gap between human work and AI work. And so we exist in the space where that gap still exists.
So when people found out AI had quietly become part of his own work, it did not feel like a small slip-up. For some fans, it felt like a contradiction. For others, it felt like a betrayal. He deleted his tweet and posted a longer explanation on the Nerdfighters subreddit. "I am mortified that I have let so many people down." He said the words in his videos were still his own. He said he used ChatGPT to find research papers and sources, not to write his actual scripts or opinions. His wife Catherine and his brother John had already spoken to him about it privately before any of this went public. Both of them thought his behavior had become unhealthy. Some fans were willing to forgive him, others were not. Because for them, the issue was never just about how much AI he used. It was about trust. Finding out Hank Green, the guy responsible for teaching me so much science and history and research, whose whole thing was using credible sources, is now using ChatGPT for research, is so deeply saddening. Then came the real consequences. 2 daily word games he ran called Smush and 4x3 were paused. He introduced a personal AI policy for himself.
I'm sure you're feeling it. So last week, I posted publicly about how I have been so enticed by LLMs. Always starting on a new project or prototyping a game or researching climate change regulations and 18th century organic chemistry and the history of screwdrivers all at the same time. The more time I spent with it, the more every problem was starting to look like an LLM-shaped problem, and that's dumb. Of course, because of how online discourse works, some of the response has been silly or bad faith criticism. No one is using AI to write Crash Course videos, no matter what an AI-generated headline said. Complexly's AI policy is years old. It mentions Bard in it, so that's how old it is. And that policy is extremely clear. And this is the thing that I feel most bad about. whatever reputational hit or loss of trust I have brought upon myself here, that's mine to take and try to earn back. But the people who work at Complexly, who write SciShow and Endlings and Eons and Crash Course, and who work with experts and make sure that they get everything right, do the video editing, make the visuals beautiful, do that hard work of putting together some of the most valuable videos in the world, are now being called into question because of my issue. So this video is two things. First, it is an apology to the people who work at Complexly. I'm so sorry. Like, you are so good, and I'm so lucky I get to work with you, and I see how hard that work is. And of course, I'm really closely associated with Crash Course and SciShow, but there are whole teams of people who have each other's backs, who are just trying their damnedest to make great things that help people understand the world. I get that not everybody's going to get this, and I understand that what I do, no matter what context I do it in, is going to reflect on Complexly. And so I should be more careful, and I should not be on Twitter. Everybody agrees I should not be on Twitter. Second thing, following Complexly's lead, an AI policy. This all started because I said I needed to realign the way I use LLMs. I have thought a lot about that this week. I'd become too reliant on them for advice, for editing, and for sourcing, so I'm creating an AI policy for myself.
You might think all of that would finally put the controversy to rest. It did not. Once people started questioning his process, they started looking at older videos differently. A SciShow video from 2025 about the physics of knitting came back up. The video was criticized for getting technical details wrong and for the way it talked about knitting's history. SciShow removed the video and apologized. And that is the strangest part of this whole story. When a human makes a mistake, people usually understand how it happened. Someone misread the research. Someone rushed. Someone got it wrong. But when AI enters the picture, a new question appears. How much of the thinking was actually yours?